And hello, everybody. This is the Flex Network. And normally, I would be joined by FlexMike, who would do this lovely intro with me, but unfortunately, he has called in sick. So I hope he sees this and is getting better, very better right now. Get well soon, man. I hope to see you next week. But the show must go on. And yes, this is the Flex Network, and this is the top 15 list. And we're now in the top 5. But before we get too far in, I gotta get this going because we are live. Yes, we're live on Facebook. We're live on Twitter. Oh, no, we're not live on Twitter. Not yet. We're live on YouTube. And this is the Flex Network. And welcome to the show. Man, what a week. And we'll talk more about what's been happening in the world of wrestling on Thursday with the weekend review. But man, there's some very interesting stuff has been happening. Rumors and news coming out of Saudi Arabia with the crown jewel and everything going on with the superstars being delayed, but and the announcement for January 4th and 5th with the Wrestle Kingdom, with New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom lineup card being a 2-day event. But again, I will get to that on Thursday. And happy, I hope everyone has just been happy with this extra sleep you guys have been getting. With daylight savings time, normally there would be some light out left at around this time, but now we're falling back an hour. Now it's dark, and so we must continue. Tonight's show, wow, top 5. We've hit the big time, top 5, and we're going to be talking about. I gotta make this a statement, just pure emphatic statement about the top 5. This top 5 that we're about to get into is the creme de la creme of the stuff that has made wrestling in WWE, the stuff that has been iconic moments, at least to me. So the top 5 has got to be, something spectacular. And at number 5, we're going to go through the WrestleMania trilogy, part 1 of the Stone Cold versus Rock saga. And we're going to start it with 1999's WrestleMania, the road to WrestleMania, which we're going to start after not St. Valentine's Day. We're not going to start that far early. We're going to start back in 1998 in December after Rock Bottom. I'm not going to talk too much about Rock Bottom because that I'm saving for, again, another show. Because this was a hell of a good build-up. But before I get too far, very too far, a couple shows ago on the Weekend Review, I had mentioned that watching AEW when Cody was going after the Inner Circle and Chris Jericho, who were up in skyboxes at Pennsylvania, at the Pennsylvania show, and Cody got his brother to come out and MJF to come out, but then you started hearing it's me, it's me, it's DDP. And you got a theme. There was a theme in the back that I had heard before, but it wasn't a wrestling theme. It was an actual song, and it was played by Jackal. So we kind of, here on the Flex Network, we kind of posted it. It's like, dude, we heard this. It's like, that's awesome. And lo and behold, we got a lovely, a cool response. And I'm going to bring this up on here because this was something cool and unexpected because we got a response from the man, from the two-time WCW champion of the world. That's right. DDP. Bam. The Flex Network getting the loving from Mr. Bangman, the Diamond Cutter. And boy, that was just awesome. You're getting some notification from love, just from someone, and you realize it's the man of the Diamond Cutter. Bang. So that was a cool highlight to start off that whole spiel for this week. But let's get into the show. Let's get into the hard hitting show of this Rock versus Austin WrestleMania 15 Part 1 trilogy. And we're going to start it with the night after Rock Bottom, as Rock Bottom was being emulated from the neighbors to my north, Vancouver, British Columbia, up at the Cow Palace, or not the Cow Palace, at Rogers Center, I want to say it was, but it was up in Vancouver. And we're talking about Raw, December 14th, 1998, and this was kind of a funny night, just in general, because the next night on the 14th in Raw, which was in Tacoma. Yes, the Tacoma Dome. They came down here to do the show. And DX kicked off the show, but it wasn't DX fast, just everyone coming out as themselves. No, DX did a lovely parody of Shawn Michaels and the Rock and the Corporation. Just is a classic moment with The Rock being played by Triple H, hence known as the Croc. Part 2, because he did the Croc gimmick before when he was in the Nation of Domination, but we get just this awesome parody with DX mocking the Corporation, and getting a little loving from Mr. from James Barnett, and the Fiend wants you to let him in. It's like, yeah, trust me, he's been let in, and he kind of now lives behind me with wearing a blue hoodie and some sunglasses and a Sonic set and some headphones. It's my lovely parrot talking blue hoodie Matt. What do you say? It's like, just get on with the show. I know I'm up here, but I want you to just still talk about fantasy football. Okay. Blue Matt, we just started the show. We got this lovely comment, and of course, about the Fiend, and you are just wanting me to talk about fantasy football. Is that right? Yes. Just talk about fantasy football. Not yet. We're not getting to fantasy football to the end of the show. You know the shtick. Okay. Yeesh. My blue hoodie Matt. But DX comes out and parodies the Corporation. Corporation comes out and they just start, making, HBK makes matches, and The Rock is going to face Triple H for the WWF title later in the night. And he starts to leave, but not before mocking WCW's top guys with going off on their catchphrases. Another funny classic moment. And of course, Rock, and before ending it with his, you're like, okay, this is it. I am the best there is, the best there is. It's like, no, damn it. What is this? That's not right. But this was a fun night to go. And then after that whole shtick with Rock and the Corporation and DX, seemingly mocking each other, we get the drawing for Stone Cold Steve Austin and his entry in the 1999's Royal Rumble being held by the McMahons, Vince and Shane. And apparently this looked up on the up and up because Stone Cold was drawn not once, but twice, the number 1 entry number. So damn, that's gotta suck for Austin, to get into the Rumble and to get opportunity for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. He's gotta go and face 29 other superstars and start the show, or start the Rumble at number 1. That was basically Raw after Rock Bottom, December 14th, 1998. We're going to jump ahead a couple weeks to January 3rd, 1999, the first Raw of the new year, of the last year of the 90s. Yes. And this was one of the most iconic Raws of history in the Monday Night Wars period, because this was the turning point for the Monday Night Wars for Team Raw, for Team WWF, because Vince McMahon and the corporation come out and they have heard rumors that Commissioner Shawn Michaels was going to be at Raw after being fired the previous Raw on December 28th, after Christmas, before New Year's. So Shawn shows up while Team Corporate's in the ring, and Shawn comes out and he's like, "Yeah, Vince, I didn't come alone this time because I brought the cavalry with me." And you start to hear break it down, DX theme, as the rest of Degeneration X, Triple H, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, X-Pac, and Chyna coming on out to support the founding member of Degeneration X, as he lets Vince McMahon know that his WWF commissioner's job, that his contract as commissioner is ironclad. He can't be fired at all. As Vince had said when he hired him, that he can't be fired. And that Shawn Michaels will not answer to anyone, even Vince McMahon. And the only way Shawn Michaels will not be able to be the commissioner is if he was to resign. And that ain't gonna happen, as Vince McMahon will be singing to the sweet song of Sweet Chin Music for a very, very long time. But we get after that, HBK continues to, poke more fun at Vince, and he's like, you know what? Now it's time to you made my dreams come true. Now it's time for me to make your dreams. As during the Royal Rumble entry drawing for Stone Cold, he had asked before his number was drawn that he hopes that his number is number 2. But more or less, he drew number 30. Well, due to Vince McMahon's now entry into the Royal Rumble, to the 1999 Royal Rumble, as Shawn Michaels has say-so of every WWF competitor, and with the exception of Stone Cold, as that was Vince's, area, propaganda, with Vince now putting himself into the Royal Rumble, he became an active WWF competitor. And Shawn decided on that moment that he's going to make Vince's dreams come true, as Stone Cold Steve Austin will be the first man entering the Royal Rumble. And the second man entering the 1999 Royal Rumble will be Vince McMahon. And he figured that I'd give old Stone Cold all night to open a can of whoop ass on him. And damn, that was one hell of a pop from that announcement on that night. But as we get a little bit further into the show, Mankind comes out and wants a WWF title match at the Rumble. Well, Vince, already in a sour mood, tells Mankind no. But he will allow him to have a match against Triple H for the opportunity to qualify for the Royal Rumble match. And the special guest referee would be Shane McMahon. Well, a little bit later in the night, Triple H and Mankind have a Royal Rumble qualifying match. And unfortunately for Mankind, Shane McMahon decides to fast count him after having a grueling match with him. After Triple H decides to roll him up, you see Shane just supreme fast count, and Mankind gets screwed out of the Rumble opportunity, out of the Royal Rumble match. Well, Triple H feels that, hey, business is business. It's for a shot at the WWF Championship, and I'll take it any way I can. But how about a late Christmas present? And pedigrees Shane McMahon and tells Mankind he's all yours. So Shane is now in this very hairy predicament of getting his shoulder snapped thanks to Mankind. And Mankind wants to negotiate with Vince about getting not a title match at the Royal Rumble now, but a championship opportunity on Raw tonight. And not only is it a one-on-one match, but it's a no disqualification match, in which Vince McMahon agrees. So this was the big title match of the night to start off the new year. We get The Rock versus Mankind with no disqualifications match on the line. And not only is it a no DQ match, but I guess Team Corporate has surrounded the ring and DX has surrounded the ring. It's not a lumberjack match. They're just out there supporting their buddies. DX is supporting Mankind. The Rock is getting support from the corporation. And this match was hella good. Go and watch this match on the network or on YouTube if you can find it. But this was a significant moment in history, as during the match, Ken Shamrock comes in, attacks Mankind while he's got the mandible claw in. DX comes in, Corporation and DX go at it, and just chaos ensues. And all of a sudden, Austin comes out, and we haven't seen him since the for several couple weeks since rock bottom, and he comes out, hits The Rock square in the head with a steel chair, allows Mankind to get the 1, 2, 3 on The Rock, and Mankind becomes the new World Wrestling Federation champion for the first time ever. And this was a hell of a moment. Literally one of the biggest moments in WWF's history and in the Monday Night Wars, as literally on that night, on the January 3rd episode of Nitro, they were WCW was in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Georgia Dome, and they had a hell of a match, or hell of a card on that night. And of course, viewers at the time, switching back and forth. Well, apparently, with Raw being taped already, so Bischoff and WCW already knows who and what has happened on the Raw show, as it's already pre-taped. And it's just on replay for like the Pacific Northwest guys, but East Coast got it live. But yeah, essentially, Eric Bischoff tells Tony Schiavone to say a very infamous line during the broadcast before they went to commercial break, which was, if you're ever thinking about changing the channel to our competition, do not. We understand that Mick Foley, who wrestled here as one time as Cactus Jack, is going to win their world title. Ha! That's going to put some butts in the seats. Huh. Now think about that. That one quote on your television show got viewers so interested that they switched, to the tune of 600,000 people immediately changed their channels from TNT to USA Network and essentially watched the moment happen. And then after the show went off, in that timeline, in that time period, they went right back to Nitro. Granted, they went back, I hoped, or a lot of them went to do something else. But with 5 minutes left of airtime, because WCW apparently they had a match that people wanted to see as the main event. The final tally for that one show was a 5.7 viewership for Monday Night Raw to a 5.0 for Nitro. So literally, that one quote started the momentum shift for WWF into winning the Monday Night Wars, because this was one of the most iconic Raws in WWF's history, bar none. And a great title change moment, a rare title change on Raw. Even to start the new year, you had a heavyweight title change. So this was a awesome moment to go back and watch. I hope you guys do too. So normally I would, talk about the next week on Raw and everything, but we're actually going to skip. We're going to jump all the way to the Royal Rumble on January 24th, 1999. And we're also going to talk a little bit about Sunday Night Heat that happened that same night, because if you remember, Sunday Night Heat was happening on MTV on Sundays, and this was essentially their kickoff show before the pay-per-view, their pay-per-view pre-show. And on Heat, Austin, who's having trouble getting into the building, arriving to park his truck in Anaheim, California, at the Pond. Again, another moment of wrestling knowledge, that the Royal Rumble that year took place at the Arrowhead Pond. in Anaheim, California. So that area is very special to me. But Austin couldn't get in, to park his truck. He was turned away. Well, as we get closer to the end of Heat, Vince comes out and it's gonna, of course, say he's gonna call out Austin and try to get him to, essentially attack him and void his contract, as there's a clause in his contract that states he can't touch him, otherwise he'd be fired on the spot unless physically provoked. Well, just as McMahon's gloating and trying to poke more fun at Austin, you cut back and you see this giant limousine monster truck just jump over a set of cars, crushing them, and just come on into the parking garage, and out comes Stone Cold to a thunderous applause, and as he's getting out, he starts walking through the back of the building and out to the ring, where he's gonna just look at McMahon and stare him down. And here comes the moment of McMahon's gonna try to get him to attack him, and he just slaps him and then hightails it, essentially. And then Austin just beats up the Stooges just to end Heat, essentially, because for the WWF champion at the time, The Rock, Mankind was going to be facing The Rock in an I Quit match for the WWF title. And Mankind had a tune-up match on Heat. And if you go back and watch Heat on the network, you'll see, you'll kind of figure out who it is, earlier after a little while, you'll see this big old guy stepping out of a limousine in a mask, and we're like, okay, that's got to be Mankind's opponent for later in the night. And we get to that, and during the match, his mask gets uncovered, and he gets this Mr. Sacco down his throat, and we see it's Big Viscera / King Mabel. Mabel, for those of us who remember Mabel, further down the line in WWF history, that he was King of the Ring in in the late 90s, 96, 97 area. And then he comes back as Viscera as part of the corporate ministry. Well, with Mankind having that, Mr. Sacco on Viscera, The Rock just comes in, and so does Team Corporate, and they attack Mankind to get the advantage heading into the pay-per-view. And before we keep on this show going, we're getting more lovely comments. Max Witt, here on the show, John Cena is the legend. Oh, that's one legend. He's up there, but he's not the legend. You still got Hogan, you still got Flair, you still got Sting, you still got Austin, you still got Rock, and Triple H, and Shawn. So he's up there, but he's not the legend, as a lot of the fans nowadays, or early 2000s, early 2010 wrestling fans would say. It's like, yeah, Max, you can't see me. Yeah, can't see him. He's in the back. So we go into later in the night, the pay-per-view show, the I Quit match, another iconic moment, as this match was so barbaric between The Rock and Mankind for the WWF title. Mankind just getting hit with chairs, with having his hands handcuffed behind his back, and just getting chair shot after chair shot after chair shot to the head. And he's busted up, bloody as hell. Even while he was not even handcuffed, gets tossed off, I wanna say where the seats were, an area where the seats were not there, where there was electrical equipment down below. He gets, knocked off, set onto the electrical equipment, and sparks just fly. That is another moment. But with this one moment, because Rock was just bashing Mankind to oblivion with this steel chair, and it's been trying the entire match to get Mankind to say, "I quit." And he didn't want to say it. He was never going to say, "I quit." But then you get, after a little bit longer into the match, and Mankind's bloodied and busted up and basically knocked unconscious. The Rock finally goes for the kill and gets the moment. And you hear on the PA system, "I quit, I quit, I quit." And The Rock becomes the new WWF champion at the Royal Rumble. This was one heck of a moment. And that's going to lead us into the Royal Rumble match itself, with Stone Cold being the first entry and Vince McMahon being the number 2 entry. This was everyone was paying money to see this moment finally happen after everything Austin and McMahon have gone through, and everything that Austin's been trying to do to get back to the title picture and into the title hunt. McMahon's is literally right in front of him to start it off, and they fight all, throughout the arena, basically, to where McMahon's running, hightailing it while other superstars are coming in during the match, and they fight all the way back to the women's bathroom, where McMahon has set up an ambush for Austin with the corporation, essentially knocking Austin out of contention, to, at least for the time being, to continue into the Royal Rumble match. So McMahon just jots on down a little bit later, and he just sits at commentary and just watches the rest of the Rumble match. And as we're getting near the end, you see an ambulance coming back with Austin driving the ambulance. And McMahon's like, "Oh no, no, he can't be back." And Austin comes back out, essentially just tosses the remaining people out of the ring. Now, while he has a bounty on his head, a $100,000 bounty from McMahon, has tossed everyone else out of the ring, leaving the 2 original starters between Mankind, Mr. McMahon, and Austin starting off the Rumble. McMahon gets tossed back in. They go to town on. Austin goes to town on the McMahon, stuns him, is about ready to throw him over. Rock comes out, essentially is trying to go Austin to, like, "Come and attack me, come on." He gets Austin near the ropes enough for McMahon to come behind him and just tosses him over. And Vince McMahon has won the 1999 Royal Rumble. Yes, I just did say Vince McMahon won the 1999 Royal Rumble and is now the number 1 contender at WrestleMania for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. And I love how I'm talking about the Royal Rumble, and here comes Mr. Matt Beck, who's not behind, who's basically texting behind me, Mr. Blue Hood Matt. Might as well, yes, Mr. Blue Hoodie Matt text, posting about the Royal Rumble giveaway we're going to be having for this year's Royal Rumble in 2020. We're going to have a Royal Rumble contest. Essentially, we're going to draw 30 names. Yes, 30. 30. We're going to have 30 names. We're going to put them in a hat. And like the Royal Rumble itself, we're going to, at the intervals, we're going to draw a name. Your name comes up. The superstar that comes out is your representative. And we will continue to go down the line until all 30 have been entered. And once we get down to the final man, the last man standing in the Royal Rumble, whoever wins the Rumble, the representative, then you win the gift of an autographed picture of the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, Bret the Hitman Hart. Isn't that right, Matt? Yes, that's right. And I know I'm not supposed to be talking about wrestling while I'm supposed to be mentioning football, but come on. It's like, yes, I know, Matt. We're getting close to the end of the show, and you can plug your fantasy football. But yes, Bret the Hitman Hart autograph picture for the winner of the Royal Rumble contest. And I will tell you guys how you can enter into it near the end of the show. Now, back to our regularly scheduled programming. So now, immediate on the Raw after the Royal Rumble, January 25th, 1999, The Rock, Vince, and the corporation are out in full force celebrating the fact that Austin's not going to WrestleMania as the number one contender. Mankind is not the WWF champion anymore. That The Rock is the WWF champion. And Vince McMahon has decided that thanks to The Rock's participation in helping Vince McMahon win the 1999 Royal Rumble, has graciously and will give the $100,000 bounty that he put on Austin's head to anyone that eliminated him in the Royal Rumble, that he will give that bounty to The Rock. And it will be in cash from Shane McMahon, one of Shane McMahon's trust funds. And look who decided to pop up and just make a lovely appearance on the show via Facebook post on the chat. Just Mr. FlexMike. Yeah, I'm dead, Snowman. I still love you though. Yes, I know you are not feeling well. We kind of need you 100%, but get well soon, my man. Feel better. We'll probably see you next week for number 4. But again, we'll get to that in a little bit. So continuing on, The Rock is going to get paid the $100,000 in cash from one of Shane McMahon's trust funds. And Vince McMahon's now telling The Rock, well, I know you did not have, I have it on good authority that you didn't get much sleep last night, as you woke up in a cold sweat and realized, oh my God, I'm going to WrestleMania and I'm going to face my boss, Vince McMahon. Well, you don't have to worry about that, Rock, because I signed it and I filed it this morning that documents that I have given up the right to wrestle you at WrestleMania for the WWF Championship. And I will name a suitable replacement at a later date and time, so you know who you will be facing at WrestleMania. But before Vince can continue celebrating, and of course, reminding Stone Cold that he had no chance in hell of winning the Royal Rumble and becoming the World Wrestling Federation champion again. Mr. McMahon gets interrupted via satellite from Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, he's not there, obviously, being via satellite, but he just informs Mr. McMahon that, well, he's going to WrestleMania. It's like, McMahon's like, no, yeah, okay, you're going to buy a ticket to WrestleMania. It's like, no, jackass, I'm going to wrestle the champion at WrestleMania. I'm not only telling you that, the guy beside me is telling you that too, in being the commissioner, Shawn Michaels. Now, basically, Mr. Commissioner is informing Mr. McMahon that when Vince McMahon filed those papers and basically telling Mr. McMahon that they were going over the WWF official handbook and pulling out essentially a bottle of Jack Daniels. Funny moment, but it was like, oh no, sorry. The rule books around here somewhere. Well, it states that if the winner of the Royal Rumble is unable or unwilling to go to WrestleMania to fight the champion, then the runner-up gets all rights and privileges. So what he's telling Vince is that when he filed those papers, you essentially checked yourself out of the main event at WrestleMania, and Stone Cold Steve Austin has been checked in. I urge you guys to go and watch this moment, this confrontation, because after McMahon's still stuttering there, like, how the hell did this happen? The plan was perfect. You could see on his face. It was beautiful. But Austin, who again wants to go to WrestleMania, who wants to be the WWF champion, right at that moment realizes, he's like, you know what? I want to beat your ass more, Vince, than I want that WWF championship. So to get you back into the ring on St. Valentine's Day, I'm challenging you to a match. And to make it even more better, I will put up my right to go to WrestleMania to wrestle for the WWF championship if you will face me in a match. It's like, okay, I'm interested, Austin. What do you have in mind? Well, seeing as how you like to run, and well, that's all you do is run. We're not going to wrestle. I could beat you any day of the week, and twice on Sunday. So what match we should be having is a cage match. You and me inside of a cage. You don't have to pin me. You don't have to make me submit. All you got to do is run around that damn cage long enough and then climb out over the top, and you're the winner. And after some more jabbing and everything, even Austin challenging Mr. McMahon's grapefruits, the size of them, and if he's got the balls to accept his match, which he emphatically says, all right, Austin, you're on. You got your match. This essentially just is one of my favorite moments. But we're not even done with this night, because a little while later, while The Rock's out, just talking, Mankind has commandeered, well, not really commandeered, but he has stolen The Rock's bounty money that he got from Vince and from Shane McMahon's trust fund, he has stolen $100,000 from an armored truck and proceeds to now toss it out into the crowd to get The Rock to challenge The Rock for a rematch, as Mankind was kind of unconscious and doesn't remember ever saying the words "I quit." But after further review, it sounded like the "I quit" statement was made from an interview from Heat earlier in that night with Shane McMahon. And if you go back and watch Sunday Night Heat, or well, if you go back and watch this Raw, and you will actually see hear and see the clip of the Shane McMahon interview with Mankind, and he will hear him say, "I quit, I quit, I quit," like it was said during the I Quit match. Exactly. So essentially, Mankind never said the words "I quit," and he should have still been champion. But that's neither here nor there. But now the Mankind is basically holding The Rock's money hostage after throwing some and keeping some for himself, and goading The Rock into a championship title match, a championship rematch, but not just at any time or specific place, but it will be an empty arena during Super Bowl 33. Super Bowl 33, January 31st, 1999. During on halftime of Super Bowl 33, while everyone else was going to watch a performance, the wrestling fans could come over and watch an empty arena WWF Championship match between The Rock and Mankind. And boy, this is another moment you guys need to go check out. This is another moment on Sunday Night Heat, no less, and during the Super Bowl. Granted, everyone else is checking out the Super Bowl game, which was between the Denver Broncos and Atlanta Falcons. And that was, granted, it was John Elway's final Super Bowl, as he was able to leave the following, to basically retire after this Super Bowl after winning. So this was very impressive to not only get a WWE Championship match, an empty arena, no less, but during Super Bowl 34, during the big game. I urge you guys to go and check this out. This was a chaotic match to where Vince was even doing color commentary in the empty arena. And the match itself was awesome, to where Mankind pins The Rock's shoulders to the concrete floor thanks to a forklift with kegs of beer on top of it, and basically sitting on top of it and essentially dangling the WWF Championship after winning. It's like, hey, you can't have it because it's mine. Oh, mine. Another fun moment. And that was essentially the Sunday Night Heat, January 31st, 1999, the halftime heat of Super Bowl 33. And this is going to lead us into essentially the last half of this buildup, because we're going to talk about St. Valentine's Day Massacre on February 14th, 1999. This to me is one of my favorite pay-per-views, bar none, because this is the culmination of Austin and McMahon finally getting it on one in an actual match where essentially no one came in during the match and interfered like it happened with Dude Love in early 98 after Austin won the title. This is a one-on-one match inside of a steel cage with the WWF championship opportunity at WrestleMania on the line. This was everybody's dream wish to finally see this, and they got it. I hope you guys go back and check this match out. It's awesome. You know, it may have not been a catch as cat can wrestling match, but this was a match worth waiting for. With Austin busting up McMahon, you know, bashing his head off the top of the cage, before the match even technically started, goes flying through the air, lands spine, you know, alignment with the corner with the edge of the table. And you could see him get knocked out, wheeled out on a stretcher. And one of my favorite quotes of this whole thing, because I remember this from WWF's Eva Destruction year in review, essentially later in January of that year, where they were going, where Austin essentially grabs the microphone from the ring announcer as he's, you know, it's like, well, due to injury, Mr. McMahon's not able to compete, so the winner of the match is up. And out comes Austin saying, bullshit. Well, since the match never started because the bell never rang and he was never in the ring with me at the same time. So, no, that ain't gonna happen. If you want me to finish, this can of whoop. Oh, sorry, I cannot forget the you jackass. Yeah, you jackass in the black. Is the son of a bitch still breathing? He is. All right. Well, if you want me to finish this can of whoop ass, give me a hell yeah. Hell yeah. What? It's like, climbs over the cage and just tosses refs, just tosses the EMTs, grabs the gurney, just runs, launches McMahon up against the cage, head hits the cage, and while in the neck brace, and then tosses him in the ring. The match begins, and Austin just goes to town, busting him up, attempts to leave not once, not twice, but 3 times. One through the door, gets the middle finger from McMahon just to goat Austin back in. Austin again tries to leave after, you know, busting him open. Gets the double bird from McMahon, a busted open McMahon. And Austin's like, see, it's like, is he flipping me off? It's like climbing back over. And the best description of this is just Austin's like saying, this son of a bitch wants more punishment. All right, here we go. And just after hitting the stunner on McMahon and essentially stunning McMahon out of contention for the chance to stop Austin from going to WrestleMania, out from behind him, underneath the ring, you start seeing a little form bubbling as someone was trying to come out of the ring. Not only come out, but erupt from the ring a giant man of proportions by the name of Paul White, aka, well, it's the Big Show. Yes, Big Show making his debut in the WWF, fresh from leaving WCW, jumping ship, comes out and attacks Stone Cold Steve Austin and is apparently with the corporation and proceeds to throw him up against the cage several times to where McMahon's it's like up and just so groggly, like tells Big Show, take Austin and throw him into the cage. Well, Big Show does that. but throws him at a lovely amount of power to the cage that the cage breaks way and starts swinging on its hinges to where Austin's hanging onto the cage only to drop down, both feet hitting the floor and becoming the winner of the match, and still going on to WrestleMania 15 to wrestle for the World Wrestling Federation champion, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and McMahon's dumbfounded and shocked. No! This was the moment everyone wanted, just to see Austin beat the holy hell out of McMahon and win. Bar none, one of the best moments to go back and watch. And to not even add insult to injury for that whole night for the corporation, in the last man standing match between Mankind and The Rock, WWF title match, this match was also barbaric and cruel to both guys. The match ended in a double countout. It was a draw, as both Mankind and The Rock did not answer the ref's 10 count. So while the match ended in a draw, still your World Wrestling Federation champion and going to WrestleMania from now is Mankind. Yes, Mankind moves on to fight Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 15. And that's how the cage match is how we end the pay-per-view, essentially. So we get to the next night on Raw. February 15th, HBK kicks it off and essentially is calling out both the participants of the main event match at WrestleMania with Mankind and Stone Cold Steve Austin. But before we get too involved with those guys, out comes McMahon and in a soft collar and stitched above his head Band-Aid. It's like, I've had enough with Austin. I just want to bury the hatchet. All I'm asking Stone Cold is I want to start all over. I want to start anew. I just want you to say I'm sorry. You just want me to say I'm sorry? Okay, I can handle that. I'm sorry that I didn't beat your ass worse than I did last night in that cage. So we don't even get too far into McMahon trying to get forgiveness. It's like, okay, Michael, so this is your main event at WrestleMania. This is your championship match. Last night, you know that Mankind didn't win the match. You know that there needs to be a definitive winner. Heck, make your match. There needs to be a rematch tonight. Heck, even make it your match. Make it a ladder match. And reluctantly, after Mankind, was like, give me 7 days, 6 days. I'm feeling cruddy, even for me. Give me 6 days. I'll rest up. Even after The Rock comes out and, of course, challenges Mankind's testicular fortitude, Michaels makes the match official for that night. A ladder match between The Rock and Mankind for the WWF Championship and the main event spot at WrestleMania 15. This match was awesome. And I just got nothing else to say about it, because the match ends with The Rock winning thanks to help from the Big Show chokeslamming Mankind off the ladder, allowing Austin to win, or allowing Austin to face The Rock for the WWF Championship at WrestleMania. So The Rock is now champion. We know the main event. It's Rock Austin. But we're not yet done because we're going to go to another iconic moment on March 22nd. Yes, between February and March, yeah, there may have been some, light back and forth stuff, maybe some matches to get us ready, but this moment, the final Raw before WrestleMania, is so iconic because you have The Rock, you have McMahon, you have Shane McMahon, Vince and Shane McMahon, and they're poking fun at Austin. I mean, they're trying to antagonize Austin again to the tune of Austin not only leaving, but coming back and driving a beer truck. Yes, I said beer truck. A Coors Light beer truck. Not Budweiser, Coors Light. Driving into the arena and proceed to what I would consider the best thing I've ever heard with Austin in this rivalry with The Rock at that time. I've been hearing you for, the last several weeks. I've been hearing you, out here spin your little nursery rhymes about Know Your Road Boulevard and Jabroni Drive. You better get your ass serious, son, because Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to go into WrestleMania. You better be ready, man, because Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to take his ass to Philadelphia, check right in to the SmackDown Hotel, roll right in to room 316, and burn that son of a bitch to the ground. And then after, more and more back and forth, Austin gets off the truck, grabs the hose, and proceeds to give the McMahons and The Rock a beer bath. In the most ridiculous and best moments, seeing Vince McMahon Olympic swimming in beer, and the McMahons and The Rock just soaked from head to toe in Coors Light beer. Beautiful moment, iconic moment. I can't say anything more about this moment. Go back and watch it. It's awesome. And we're now finally here. We've gotten to the point. WrestleMania 15, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, March 28th, 1999. And the match itself, the World Wrestling Federation Championship, with which we were supposed to have a special guest referee from either Mankind or the Big Show following their one-on-one match at WrestleMania, but due to Big Show getting himself disqualified, he's not the special guest referee, but thanks to him choke slamming Mankind through 2 chairs, open chairs, back first through chairs, has rendered Mankind out. And not only that, after the fact that Mankind won and Big Show lost via disqualification, Vince McMahon decides to get in Big Show's face and proceed to slap him. And then Big Show, in this fit of rage that he's known for, early with being that big and getting slapped by a billionaire, headbutts Big Show, or headbutts Mr. McMahon, and then gets subsequently arrested. So now we have no ref. And out of nowhere, before the match, we hear the announcer say, this match is now no disqualifications. So now we have a World Wrestling Federation Championship match with no disqualification. This was what everyone paid to see finally, along with McMahon and Austin at St. Valentine's Day. But this is WrestleMania. This is for the WWF title. Everyone wanted to see Rock versus Austin, and we got it. Back and forth, up and down, even with interference from McMahon coming out and attempting to stop Austin to become champion. even with Mankind coming out and helping neutralize McMahon and getting it back to one-on-one and being the ref, The Rock couldn't get the job done as Austin wins, stuns The Rock, and becomes the new World Wrestling Federation champion on this night at WrestleMania 15. And then after toasting the WWF title with with Mankind and the WWF title with a beer, stuns McMahon one more time, pours beer over him, and that ends WrestleMania. And this is a match you need to go watch because this is part one of a trilogy, the best trilogy of WrestleManias. WrestleMania 15, WrestleMania 17, and WrestleMania 19. And I am going to end it right there because that's the end of the show. We're done. We've made it to the end with everything that's gone on with this classic part one of The Rock versus Stone Cold. So now we're done. The show's over because we're gonna get the last little bit of the house rules out the house spiel out the door, and then we can end the show properly. But before we get into that, I think this next, I gotta give you guys a hint about the next show, which I hope Mr. SnowMan FlexMike will be here for. Wink, wink. But it's time for the hint time. And, thinking back, we're now in top four. We're at the final four, literally. And I think we need to go back again, or we got to go back two more times to 98/99 because you did it once. We got to do it again. But the hint is, actually, you know what? Yeah, I think this would be fair because we're going to cover Austin. Actually, yeah, Austin through. I'm going to say it involves Austin and Taker and Kane and Anna McMahon. I will leave you with that hint. Those three things: Austin, Taker, Kane, and McMahon. Those four things. That's your hint. I know I could have set that up better, but you just gotta roll with it. But we're now getting to the end, and I know Matt Blue Hoodie. I know we're at the end. I'm going to plug the fantasy football content. Okay. Okay. I'm doing it right now. Okay. Yay! Start plugging, Fluffy. All right, Blue Hoodie Matt. I'm doing it now. Calm down. Yes. Time for our lovely spiel about the Flex Network and the fantasy football content coming up. Blue Hoodie Matt, sorry, Flex Matt, and the boys will be here on later in the week to discuss fantasy football with you guys. I know that on their Sunday, early in the morning, they will have their literally, you need a cup of coffee early to join Flex, Matt, and the boys, Sealy Shane, and I'm not gonna say it. I know I'm gonna say it wrong. So move along. You guys know who I'm talking about off the top. They will be getting you guys ready on Sunday morning for your sit and start podcast. Let's see what also I know that they also have a show coming up of their Flex Finder. Yes, their Flex Finder on Fridays to get you guys looking for your potential go-getters and for the week upcoming to get you guys ready for the festive week ahead. Wednesday, hopefully he's not sick enough to be online, but Mr. Mr. Flex Mike will be on to do his recap of the week in football. He will be on tomorrow, hopefully, if he's feeling better. He'll recap what happened this week, past week in football, and get you guys ready for this upcoming week in the land of football. Thursday, I will be back. Yes, the Flex Network will have its second wrestling show of the week. I will be doing my weekly review of what has happened in wrestling. I will be talking about what's happening with WWE this past week from Friday Night SmackDown on Fox, being taken over by NXT. Raw this past week, again, attempt with NXT takeover. And getting you guys ready for Survivor Series as we are building now that we know that at Survivor Series, we will have Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. So that already is a high selling point for NXT that weekend with War Games on Saturday and then Survivor Series the next night, make it a 3-way brand split on Survivor Series weekend. So that is going to be fun. And might even address what has been happening, what happened with the Thursday night with the Friday show, what happened of why NXT was taken over while the rest of the main stars were somewhere else being stuck. And the other news and going over what's going to happen tomorrow night on AEW and NXT. So that is Thursday. I know there's something else with fantasy football, Matt. I know. So, but I'm not 100% sure. But stay tuned to the Flex Network as they will have their content up and they will post when they will be going online. I know I'm going to be hearing about it. So, happy now, Blue Matt, Hoodie Matt. I got through it. Yes. Okay. Where's my cracker? It's in the kitchen. All right. That is everything that I want to say. Oh, like, subscribe, follow us, retweet, and everything. Oh, yes, I forgot about all of our lovely little areas to follow. Follow us at the Flex Network 1 for the fantasy football side of the Netflix network. And then for the wrestling side, all of your wrestling needs for the Flex Network side, follow us at FlexNet_PW Elite for all of your wrestling content on this side of the Flex Network. And that is it. Remember to like, subscribe, follow us, and we will be selecting 30 people once we get close to January. Well, once we get close to the Royal Rumble for the Royal Rumble contest for the autographed Bret the Hitman Hart picture. I'm not 100% sure when we will be making that selection, but keep your eyes peeled on our social media accounts for when that will happen. Other than that, I think that is everything. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. I'm going to get out of here and I will see you guys next week. I will see you guys on Thursday for the week review. And I'll see you guys here on the Flex Network for next week's number 4 part of the list. Have a good rest of your night, guys. This is the Flex Network, and we're out.